Welcome, have a nice day. Today is Thursday, 16th of January 2025. This day is celebrated as International Hot and Spicy Food Day. It is an annual food feast celebrated on January 16th every year. From the Indian history point of view, this day is famous for the celebration of National Startup Day on 16th of January every year. The day honors the creativity, determination, spirit of startup founders with over 99,000 registered firms and an ecosystem worth $500 billion. India is world third largest startup cluster. Now starting with the world news, including Hindenburg founder to close short seller behind Adani Nikola self-offs. President Joe Biden farewell address, live updates Biden's ends farewell address on optimistic note, urging Americans to stand guard. Israel-Hamas ceasefire deal, live updates and Israel-Hamas reach a ceasefire deal. Netanyahu says final details still being worked out. From Biden to Trump and Starmer, how will reacted to Israel-Hamas ceasefire deal? Biden announces Gaza ceasefire, says his team and Trump's worked as one. United States inflation rises for third straight month, rose at faster pace since July. Now starting the newspaper with the Hindu newspaper says that in farewell address to nation, Biden warns of danger of oligarchy running the United States. President Joe Biden speaks from the Oval Office of the White House as he gives his farewell address on January 15, 2025 in the Washington. His speech in the Oval Office is the latest in a series of remarks on domestic policy and foreign relations that are intended to cement his legacy. Actually, United States President Joe Biden used his farewell address to the nation Wednesday, January 15, 2025, to warn of an oligarchy of the ultra-wealthy taking root in the country and of a tech industrial complex that is infringing on Americans' rights and the future of the democracy. Speaking from the Oval Office as he prepares to hand over the power on January 20 to President-elect Donald Trump, Mr. Biden seized what is likely to be his final opportunity to address the country before he departs the White House to spotlight the alleged accumulation of power and wealth in the United States among a small few. Israel-Hamas reach Gaza ceasefire hostage deal. Palestinians celebrate announcement of the ceasefire deal between Hamas and Israel in Deir al-Balah, central Gaza Strip, Wednesday, January 15, 2025. Sheikh Mohammed bin Abdulrahman Al Thani announced that the agreement in the Qatari capital of the Doha, the site of weeks of painstaking negotiations. He said the deal would go into the effect on Sunday. Qatar and United States announced Wednesday a ceasefire and a hostage release deal between the Israel and Hamas, adding that they hoped it would pave the way for a permanent end to the war in Gaza. After mediators earlier said a deal had been reached, the office of the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu cautioned that some issues in the framework remained unresolved. Though it expressed hope the detail will be finalized tonight. Netanyahu spoke with the United States President Joe Biden and President-elect Donald Trump on Wednesday to thank them for their help securing the deal, his office said. 10 key moments in the Israel-Hamas war, a destroyed part of the Gaza city as seen from the southern Israel. After the Palestinian militant group Hamas carried out the worst attack in Israeli history on October 7, 2023, Israel launched a devastating military campaign in the Gaza Strip. The air and the ground operation has killed at least 46,707 people, according to the figures from the Hamas-run territory Health Ministry that the United Nations considers reliable. Now going towards the Hindustan Times newspaper states that obesity norms for India updated after 15 years. The term overweight is no more a part of the India-specific obesity guidelines that were revised after nearly 15 years and published on Wednesday. Obesity norms for India updated after 15 years. The term overweight has been replaced with obesity grades first and second instead. The India guidelines published in a paper of the journal Diabetes and Metabolic Syndrome. Clinical research and reviews are in step with the recently released Lancet report that overhauled obesity diagnosis and emphasized on abdominal fat distribution, which has particularly adverse effects in Asian Indian populations. The prevailing guidelines for obesity in Asian Indians, published in 2009, relied solely on a body mass index (BMI) criteria, recognizing the limitations of the BMI in accurately diagnosing obesity and the emergence of the new research revealing the association between the generalized and abdominal adiposity in Asian Indians and early onset comorbid diseases. A comprehensive redefinition was needed, said the authors. Researchers from All India Institute of Medical Sciences, AIIMS, and Fortis CDOC Center of Excellence for Diabetes, Metabolic Disease, and Endocrinology in the paper. Rain snowfall likely in parts of the Himachal on January 16. Tourists enjoying snow Solang Valley in Manali on Wednesday. The Indian Meteorological Department Shimla office on Wednesday predicted light to moderate rain or snowfall at few places over mid and high hills and at isolated places in the plain area of Himachal Pradesh on Thursday till January 20. As per the Indian Meteorological Department, dense fog is also likely is at isolated places in the plain areas during the early morning and late night hours on January 17 to 19. Cold day conditions are predicted at isolated places in the plain and mid areas on Thursday. Indian Meteorological Department officials said there will be no large change in the minimum and maximum temperature during the next 24 hours. Thereafter, maximum temperature is likely to fall by 3 to 5 degrees and minimum temperature likely to fall gradually by 2 to 4 degrees over many parts of the state for subsequent next 3-4 days. Now going towards the economy of the country from the business point of view, India's exports contract 1% to $38.01 billion in the month of December, trade deficit at $21.94 billion. During the April-December month this financial year, exports increased by 1.6% to $321.71 billion and imports are by 5.15% to $532.48 billion. India's merchandise export dipped by about 1% to $38.01 billion in December month of 2024 against $38.39 billion a year ago, according to the government data released on Wednesday. Imports increased by 4.8% to $59.95 billion in the month of December 2024 compared to $57.15 billion in the year ago month. Vedanta raises $1.1 billion through bond issue. The bond issuance consists of two tranches, $550 million 9.475% tranche and $550 million 9.850% of tranche, the company said. Vedanta said this bond transaction is a part of the company's financial strategy to extend maturities, reduce financing costs, deleverage, and optimize its balance sheet. United States sanctions on Russian oil tankers to hit imports, Trump stands key official. A senior Indian government official said a lot of would depend on how the incoming Donald Trump administration views the sanctions and how seriously it implements these in the coming months. Representative of the Office of Foreign Assets Control (OFAC) of the United States Department of the Treasury, which administers and enforces economic and trade sanctions based on the United States foreign policy, met Indian governmental officials earlier this month. Now going to the science and tech, we have the way forward for PM Kisan. Originally intended for small and marginal farmers, the Prime Minister Kisan was later extended to all farmers who owned land. The scheme, which started off strong, has been providing assistance to fluctuating numbers of the farmers numbers of farmers over the past 6 years. The Pradhan Mantri Kisan Samman Nidhi (PM Kisan), which provides a yearly income support of 6,000 rupees to eligible farmer families in 3 installments, has been a thorough highs and lows, both in terms of coverage and payout. It became operational from December month of 2018. Originally intended for the small and marginal farmers, the scheme, which was launched in the February 2019, was later extended to all farmers who own land when the National Democratic Alliance retained power in the month of May 2019. The government made it clear in the parliament that there was no proposal to expand the scheme further to bring in tenant farmers used under the fold. At the time of expansion in 2019, the scheme was expected to cost 87,217.5 crore to the public exchequer of 2019-2020, with the total number of beneficiaries being around 14.5 crore. However, in the last 6 years, neither did the amount disbursed exceeded 70,000 crore during any year, nor did the number of beneficiaries touch the 14.5 crore mark. The table shows the allocation for the scheme and amount transfer since 2018-19. Revised estimate, allocation and amount of transfer. In 2025, it is 41,687.3. After the 18th installment in the month of November 2024, the year-on-year growth rate for the 2020 to 2021 was close to 25%, while it was moderated to around 10% next year. However, it was in that year 2021-2022 that the absolute figure of payout was the highest, around rupees 67,150 crore. In an attempt to address lack of diversity in the National Science Academy selects non-scientists as its fellows. In the National Science Academy, lists of fellows features famous figures such as Sudha Murthy. INSA's list of fellows this year features famous figures such as Sudha Murthy and her spouse and Infosys co-founder Narayana Murthy. Academy chairman says people who show commitment towards the funding basic science research must be recognized. The annual list of fellows announced by the 90-year-old National Science Academy, among the country's most prestigious assembly of the scientists, sticks out this year for its deviation from the Academy's traditional practice. The list features a phalanx of famous Indians who are not professional scientists. These include Sudha Murthy, a Rajya Sabha member of parliament, author, and a former chair of the Infosys Foundation, her spouse, and her Narayana Murthy, two of his Infosys co-founders, Nandan Nilekani and Krish Gopalakrishnan, and Rajendra Singh, water conservationist and the founder of the Tarun Bharat Sangh. Strange particle found to have mass when moving in one direction, not another. Representative illustration: a semi-periodic fermion has mass when it's moving in one particular direction, but not in the particular perpendicular direction. A particle as it exists in the wilderness of space is slightly different from the particle that exists inside certain solids. Since the start of the 20th century, physicists have discovered a veritable zoo of subatomic particles. Matter can be both wave and particle. If you take the particular route, these subatomic particles are what you could say the universe and everything in it is made of. There are many ways to further categorize them. A common one is as fermions and bosons. Fermions make up matter and bosons mediate the force between matter. For example, electrons and protons are fermions, whereas photons are bosons. Fermions can be further classified as Dirac or Majorana fermions. Dirac fermions and fermions that may or may not have mass, but are always different from their antiparticles. Majorana are fermions that are also their own antiparticles. Neutrinos are suspected to be Majorana fermions. Now, at last, there's a famous personality of India, the Sir Chandrasekhar Venkata Raman, whose birth anniversary is 1888 up to 1970, was an Indian physicist who won the 1930 Nobel Prize in Physics. He was also a first recipient of India's highest civilian award, the Bharat Ratna, in 1954. What he discovered is actually the Raman discovered the Raman effect, which is when light scatters and changes wavelength after passing through the material. This discovery revolutionized physics and chemistry. Raman and his student K. S. Krishnan discovered this phenomenon using a spectrograph that Raman developed. He founded the Indian Academy of Science. He was the first Indian director of the Indian Institute of Science in Bengaluru in 1933. He became the independent India's first national professor in 1947. He founded the Raman Research Institute in the Bengaluru in 1948. What he received is actually the Nobel Prize in Physics in 1930, Bharat Ratna in 1954, Lenin Peace Prize in 1957, Franklin Medal and Hughes Medal in 1930. Mr. C.V. Raman says a very famous quotation. He says that he inspired us by saying that success can come to you by courageous devotion to the task lying in front of you. Okay, thank you.